Hi guys, welcome to this quick review about this YOKEKON portable freezer with 12 volts and also 100 volts, 240 volts. So this works in your car, at home, office, almost everywhere. It is a 17 quart portable car freezer with a compressor. So this is not just like a thermoelectric module which we are used to have. This is definitely something totally different league. This is much better. This is on a totally different level. By the way, we get it already fully assembled. We can open it here from the left side, and everything what we need is here inside, like the instructions manual, power adapter and everything. So I'm going to show you that, of course, as well. Here, let's take a look at the inside. Of course, here we have the compressor, but here we still have a lot of space for everything which you want to cool down. So, of course, the biggest advantages of such compressor versions are that we have a much higher cooling performance and that we can reach a temperature which we want to achieve much faster than with a thermoelectric module, and we can go much further down with the temperature. With thermoelectric coolers we can only go down to about 10 degrees Celsius or 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and below it's very difficult to use. So we can barely achieve the temperatures which we have in a fridge, and definitely not the temperatures which we have in a freezer, but that's definitely possible here. I'm going to show you that later. What we also have is a much better energy efficiency when we have a compressor compared to a thermoelectric module. While compressors are great and of course usually our first choice when it comes to freezers and fridges, there are also some things we have to consider, and one thing is that usually compressors or compressor fridges shouldn't be tilted, but it looks like this manufacturer has been able to mitigate that, and so even a tilting of up to 30 degrees is no problem and it keeps working. The second thing is the noise. Usually compressors make much more noise than thermoelectric modules, so we turn it on and see how this works. We press 3 seconds. I'm going to show you that later in detail, so let's wait till it turns on. By the way, the reason why it's not turning on now, there is some safety built in, of course, because I had it turned on just a couple of minutes ago, and so it's a very good thing that this device waits for a little bit till everything like the cooling fluid has been flown back. So now it turns on and you can hear that it is not very loud. Of course, maybe it's a little bit louder than a thermoelectric module, but not much. I would say for a compressor the noise level is very low. And the third thing is then the peak power. Of course, as I told you already, on the long run this will consume less power than a thermoelectric module, but the peak power of course is more. We can see the wattage at the moment. It is around 30 watts while it's cooling already, while it's still going up a little bit. I'm checking on the maximum here and we can see that the maximum was only 38 watts. So there's not like a crazy peak. Sometimes with compressors we have a crazy peak which makes it impossible to use such power stations, but that's not the case here. So it looks like everything is really nicely built. By the way, when we do the math here with this power station, when it consumes 36 watts and we have around 500 watt hours, so we can assume that it easily would run for about 15 hours or so with full power. But of course this thing doesn't have to run the whole time with full power. It just needs full power when it has to cool down to the temperature which we have set here. So I had it now running the whole time. You can see still at 38 watts output, now 39, 38, so it stays in this area. Let's check again on the max watts. So we are still at around 38, 39 watts maximum, which is awesome. So you don't have to be worried. This is much lower than like with a normal wine cooler or so. This is something which you can use like also for an emergency. If you are in a power outage, you have your solar panel, you have your power station like this one here, and you have your cooler. This would work perfectly together. So let's look also a little bit at this. There's one more thing which I wanted to show you, that, and that's also something really interesting. We have these additional feeds on both sides, which gives more stability. That's awesome, especially if you want to use that in your car. And now let's look a little bit at the display. Here we have the on off. When we press for 3 seconds, we can turn it on or turn it off. And here we have the temperature setting, which we can increase to the highest thing is 50 degrees Fahrenheit, which is around 10 degrees Celsius, which is still about what we have usually in a fridge. And the lowest value is 0 degrees Fahrenheit. As you can see, when we hold it, it goes fast down. And the lowest value, 0 degrees Fahrenheit, is about minus 17 or 18 degrees Celsius, which means perfectly freezer temperature. So you can even take your frozen ice cream with you when you go like camping or so. This would be a huge surprise for your children if you have ice cream here inside and in a sudden you come up with fresh ice cream. That would be awesome. So by the way, when we open that, we can feel where the cold thing is. Maybe I can show you that here a little bit. When we touch here, we can feel that we have very cold wall here all along, also here on the top, also on this side, and also here. So there's a huge cooling area. There's no opening here, which is good. So in case you have something which would leak or so, there's absolutely no problem with that. But we still have a lot of cooling effect because all these walls are cooled. And we also have this nice seal, so we can see we have quite some insulation. So after everything has been cooling down and you want to use it without power, it will be cool for a very long time. And we have even more very interesting features. We have this button here where we can select the protection of a battery. So when we long press here, we can see a level between H1 and H3. H3 is the highest level of protection. So let's say if you want to use this in a car which is not running, then we are selecting H3. This is the best protection. So when the voltage drops just a little bit, it will turn off, not to endanger such a battery or car battery. But usually when we are using such a battery, we can go to H1. So we long press again, and we can click a minus, we can go to H2 or H1 here, and then it will use the power till the voltage drops even much more, because there's no problem when the voltage drops here a little bit. At the very end, of course, this power station will turn off anyway automatically, so there's absolutely no problem with that. And of course we have been using the AC power here with 110 volts, but doesn't matter, we can also use 240 volts worldwide. This is perfect, but we can also use 12 volts directly. So I'm turning this off here. It turns off instantly. And now we switch to the DC power. It's just the other cable. So I'm activating DC power here and we plug it in. So let's see what happens. Yeah, we have the power again. And so you can see now everything is exactly the same. It's running like before, and we have even a little bit lower consumption. So if you have the chance to use directly 12 volts, this is much more economical, of course, because the power doesn't have to be converted into 110 and then back to 12 volts. And so the cooling will go very fast. Of course, it will take some time if you add some very warm things, but there's really a lot of cooling, I can tell you. Much faster than with any kind of thermoelectric module. So I can give you full recommendation, and I'll put down the link to the Amazon listing down into the description, so you can check it out and order it right from there if you like it. And I hope I've been able to help you a little bit with this video. If you have any questions or comments, just write to the comment section below. I'm always happy to talk about these things, and if you like the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time.